Welcome back to Simply 1%. We're kicking off with a series we're really excited about, the 7 motivational gifts. Have you ever discovered something about yourself that made everything kind of just seem, oh, well, this makes sense. My whole life, I've been navigating this way and I didn't know why. But now I've discovered this about myself and it all is coming together. Kind of like when I discovered that I had aphantasia, never knew it was a thing, right? Can't see pictures in my head. And it explained so much to me as to why I learn the way that I learn, why I don't retain the things that I need to retain. It just made so much sense. Even knowing that my daughter has it, she learns differently. So I can apply that there. This is what that's going to be. It's going to be something that you learn that you're going to go, oh, well, this makes a lot of sense.
When Wendolyn first started talking about motivational gifts, it made sense to both of us that we share the same one. There's a lot that we don't necessarily need to talk about or truly understand about each other because it's just default to us. So I believe this is one of the reasons why our friendship is the way that it is, connected at the heart and maybe forgiving of a lot of things. But this is the whole point of the motivational gift though, right? Is that when you know yours and you know another person's, you use a different lens in which to see them and yourself, which then the world, the things you say, the things that you do, what you're attracted to, just starts to really make sense. We started using this working with couples because of the relational aspect of the motivational gift. This is the purpose of it. It's to be used with other people, in community, in relationship, and of course the relationship with self. It can make us feel kinder to ourselves and give a little bit more patience with ourselves, I think, and grace. It's just really exciting to learn more about how we're made so we can use it to the best of our ability and just how it connects to the world around us.
So what a motivational gift is, it's something that you were created with. It's something you were born with. It's something that is more natural to you. You find yourself exercising this gift without effort.
Right, because it's just fully intrinsic.
Right,
Like you
it's
said.
natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. How did you come to this awareness of motivational gifts? Because it is so passionate for you and the way that you use it with others has just been eye-opening. So how did you get to this place where you just realized that this is kind of it? It makes sense for the lens.
I remember my pastor was doing a study on the motivational gifts. And so every week he was going through one. And it fascinated me because I started listening to every single one of these gifts and going, oh my goodness, this is my friend over here. And oh, this is my coworker. And it all made sense to me. Meredith, you say a lens that we look through. I started looking through that lens to start understanding people a little bit better. And I knew I was the perceiver because I kind of read ahead, right? And so the week that he was going to talk about the perceiver, I made sure to sit as close to the front as I was comfortable with. I was like, oh, this is going to be about me today. And I remember sitting there going, I am going to learn so many wonderful things about the perceiver. Had I forgotten that he was talking about the positive things about these gifts and also the struggles? Yes, I forgot about that because I sat there struggling with some pride, sitting straight and tall and being like, I'm going to hear about me. It's horrible. True, but horrible. Don't act like people don't think that way. So anyway, one of the first things he said was, if you knew that we were going to talk about the perceiver today and you are the perceiver, you're probably struggling with some pride right now. I was like, ew.
And did you like sink down in your seat
I sunk down. You could tell my shoulders went down a little bit. I was like, eh. And but it was really great hearing about all these gifts. I was like, this makes so much sense. Being created in this way and seeing how other people are created and being able to join in them. And also learning about these gifts because I'm not naturally the merciful. I need to do things to exercise that gift.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's really important to listen to these gifts and say, okay, this is way down on my list. what can I do to enhance that gift in my life?
Mm-hmm.
But you are naturally one way. You were made this way to serve others and to motivate others. And I just think that's a really beautiful thing that was built into us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. The way that I've seen it change the relationships, the couples that I work with, I've seen it motivate couples to appreciate each other in a different way and say, oh, that's why you do that thing. Or this is why I feel this way so strongly. So many times we hear people say, I can't change that about myself. I'm not going to change. There is some truth in this statement. It doesn't mean that we are stubborn about it. It doesn't mean that we're just going to be, okay, I'm just going to be like this and I can be whoever I want to be, no matter who I hurt or no matter like who understands me or not. That's not exactly what I mean here. What I mean is there are parts of us that are instilled in us from the very beginning, our personality as well. We learn about this through Enneagrams, love languages, taking those personality tests. And this isn't one of those things. I do want to point that out. However, when we do learn those aspects of how we're made too, it does make an impact. This is something a little bit different, the impact that it has on our relationships and what it will do for your relationships is really the key here and how we really want you to hear this. So we are going to talk about the perceiver today. But before we do that, Wendolyn, can we just list what the other ones are so we just know that? Let me see if I can remember.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do this.
All right.
Let's do a little quiz.
So,
little quiz time for Meredith.
We need a little music there. Okay. So obviously we have the perceiver, the merciful, the teacher, the encourager, the giver, the server, the administrator,
The leader.
the leader.
Which is administrator as well. Yeah.
Is that 7?
That's 7.
I did it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So these 7 gifts are what we're going to be focusing on for the next 7 weeks.
Yeah. So we're going to start with our gift today, right, Wendolyn?
Yeah. Today we're going to touch on the perceiver. So you might be listening to this and go, well, I'm not the perceiver, so I don't really need to engage in this. Actually, I would really encourage you to listen to all of the 7 episodes we're going to do on these gifts, because you may not be the perceiver, but your child might be, spouse, parent, your best friend, your coworker might be. All these different relationships you have in your life, once you understand the motivational gifts, you're going to go, oh my goodness, this person. I have sat at a party before and I was able to point out every motivational gift that was in that room. Being the perceiver, right, is kind of what it sounds like. I perceive things, I see things that, I'm more sensitive to things around me. So it was really cool to say, oh, this person has this gift and this person has that gift, because it really is something you naturally do. And everybody knows a perceiver. Everybody does. If you don't, you're a recluse, because
you're probably you are the person that many come to, right, for advice. And then they're like, why did I go to them for advice?
Or you're the perceiver because you are the recluse. Okay. Yeah, because that is one thing about a perceiver, is sometimes they'll isolate themselves because they become so frustrated and they can't relate to people very easily if they don't learn how to tame their gift. You'll hear me say that, taming your gift, basically navigating it in a way that it's still a gift and not a burden.
Yeah. People would say, Meredith's gone dark. I haven't heard from Meredith in days.
She's gone dark.
She's gone dark.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
It does feel like a burden sometimes, because you do have to learn how to filter it. Mm-hmm. It's very emotional.
Yeah. And the thing is that about our gift is we can really hurt people.
Yeah.
We can. Yeah. Because words can be so impactful. Mm-hmm. And so we've had to learn that.
Yes.
So let's talk about the perceiver and what this is. We're going to talk about the strengths of a perceiver, and then we're going to talk about the things that are challenging. Also, while you're hearing us talk about the perceiver, you may say, this is me to a level, but it might be because, just to keep in mind while we're going through these gifts, you do have a primary gift. You have the number one, but then you have a secondary, right? And maybe even a third one. So think along those lines of, this may sound like me.
And we all need a little bit of all these gifts.
Yes.
I mean, let's just be real. I never thought that mercy was a gift. I mean, I did know it was a gift, but I was like, oh, God bless the one who has mercy. God bless him.
So why was that? Why for you was mercy hard?
It just felt like a burden. It just felt like you're like a bleeding heart with everyone around you, and probably feeling that I needed to make someone feel better all the time, or that I had to take care of them. Also, sometimes, like with the merciful, you want to protect them. It's really hard to know what to say to them, because it is such an innate gift where they just feel these things from others. So as a perceiver, I believe that I've gone through life wanting to say to the mercifuls that it's really just, they can work it out. You've talked to them, you've given them your time, you've listened to them about the same story over and over and over again. I was just feeling like exhausted for them, I think. And also it gets to a point with perceivers, right? Where we're just like, this is the way that it is. Can we just stop complaining about it? I've already told you things that you can do. And so I feel like protective of the merciful, I think, sometimes.
Yeah. When we feel protective over somebody that isn't asking for it, especially, and we continue to do it, we can kind of be a little resentful, because we're like, protect yourself, protect yourself, protect yourself. We're wanting them to do it. But we feel like we kind of have to step in and do it. You know, and we'll be talking about the merciful next week, because really the perceiver and the merciful, it is an interesting relationship, and it's a necessary relationship.
It is. I wouldn't say that I don't have mercy. I don't want you guys to think that I'm not a merciful
but
person.
I think you've developed it. You've been purposeful about really developing it.
I have.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No. I also just wonder sometimes too, if I protected that, if I knew that I needed to. And because I do have a great deal of intuition, which comes with the perceiver. That it does feel too much for me sometimes. I guess knowing if people were safe or not.
You perceive people very easily. It may come across as very judgmental. And we will walk into a room and we will take the temperature of the room. And we may not even have to talk to someone to feel like this person isn't safe. This person isn't somebody I need to be around, or anybody needs to be around. And I found myself in my friendships, if my friend started dating someone that I felt that about, I would just say it. I'm like, you don't need to be around that person. That person is not good for you. And I lost friendships because of that. Right? Because then they start dating, and then they feel like they can't talk to me about that person.
And were you always right?
I mean,
you were.
Look, I'm not always right on this. I'm not, okay? Because let's be honest. We all have things from our past that we judge people. I mean, I judged my husband when I first met him. I was like, nope, gigolo. Like, and that was more protecting myself. But I met him, and everyone's like, oh, he's so cute. He's so nice. I'm like, male whore. That's what I did.
Could not be further from the truth.
Could not be further from the truth. And I was like, no, he goes to bars and picks up women. I was like, I don't want anything to do with him. And then he started flirting with me, and I was like, danger, danger, danger. And
you were wrong.
I was wrong. And I was going to go to have coffee with him. He's like, would you like to have coffee with me? And ladies, he's 7 years younger than me. I'm a bit of a coog, but listen, this man, and people can say boy, that's fine. He was boyish maybe when we met. Not really, but I thought he was. But you know what that man did? He didn't text me, do you want to go out? This man called me. Yeah, he didn't. And I was like, oh, okay. We went for coffee because we worked at the same place. And we had to
Were
be
you
there.
his supervisor?
I was his supervisor. It's dangerous territory. I worked at an airport. So it didn't help when I would see a 6'2" beautiful man with a trucker stash throwing them bags in the back of the airplane. I'm like, oh, was that a 75-pounder that you just threw back there like it was a potato? That was beautiful.
That just beautiful.
It was beautiful. But I was going to deny him because I had already prejudged. And I was like, oh, he's a jig. He's a gigolo. So we were going to go for coffee that morning after the first flight went out. And I was going to tell him all the things. I'm too old for you. You're a boy, a little boy. And I was going to tell him all the things.
I'm your supervisor.
I'm your supervisor.
Why do we always skip over that?
Well, I don't know. But then, so I was going to go in there asking some really tough questions. And that was going to just confirm everything that my perceiver self knew. I was like, I'm going to show him that he's a male whore and I want nothing to do with him. And so I started asking some questions and it was the opposite. And I was like, well, what do I do now? What do then it came in, I'm his supervisor. I can't date this guy. Because then no longer he was a boy to me, a boy who was a very good looking man. Cause I was like, oh, he's a boy. I can't date him. But then he became a man to me at that very moment when all my perceiver self, all the things that I had drawn up in my head had come crashing down. So then there's, from there we just started falling in love. But so not all the time are we right. But because sometimes things from our past will cause us to judge prematurely, and that happens. And so we have to humble ourselves, which is really hard for a perceiver to say that we're wrong.
I'm curious too, if you guys are thinking, okay, this is possibly me. Again, we all have parts of these gifts because we're made with a part of all of them.
Well, I mean, or you need to exercise that part.
Yeah, because I really didn't have mercy in the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
And there are some people who are like, Wendolyn, you have got to guide me because I have zero way of even judging that a situation is dangerous or a person is not good for me.
Sure.
And so, okay, well, let's look at evidence. This may not naturally come to you. So let's look at the evidence that's being, take time. Be slow in this process.
Yeah. What is coming up for me when I work with clients? If you grow up in a home where you have to be really sensitive to your environment.
Right.
We might look at that as I'm the perceiver.
Right. And that's the nature versus nurture thing.
Right. Which I know that we'll get into a little bit more later. This is not to be confused with that. This is when you grew up in a home where you had to know the temperature of the room. Right. And it actually is a superpower in some ways, but that could also mean you are the merciful.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I've known mercifuls who grew up in homes where they had to watch. They had to be hypersensitive, hyper aware of what was happening because, oh no, I'm starting to see mom or dad or brother or sister. It's starting to turn and I have to be ready. And it's a survival instinct thing that just kicks in of pay attention. And so they can actually be very aware of their surroundings, but it's not a natural thing for them. It was nurtured into them because they had to. It was survival.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
yes, we've talked about the struggles of the perceiver. What are some of the characteristics that we really appreciate? Well, I appreciate those things about the perceiver too.
Yeah, I do too.
Is there a great self-awareness? Is that
we're really hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we can deal with self-righteousness because we kind of see things a little differently, but we can also be very hard on ourselves when we fail. And it's hard for us to trust people and be vulnerable.
I have to say, though, that's one thing that I've always been willing to do is, okay, did I say that wrong? I'm okay to be wrong about it. There have been times in my life where I haven't been because I just feel it so strongly. And I now really do believe that I can discern. I'm always learning. I'm not saying that I'm right. And I don't really love that. I have heard that a lot in my life though. Like, Meredith, you think that you're always right. I can't help it if I am right a lot of the time.
Exactly. That's what a perceiver would say. Exactly. So, Okay, so what we've said about the motivational gifts is it is to serve others. It is to motivate others. It is to navigate through life in this way. So we look at the perceiver. What are ways that we can serve, right? The things about the perceiver that are really great. Okay, some positive things.
Well, I think that we talked about everything's on a spectrum, right?
Oh, yeah.
All of our characteristics.
Oh, yeah.
But here are the things that we really need to recognize that we need to use. This is what we tap into, right?
Right. So when I talk about the gifts, I kind of put them on the body. And I say, okay, so this is this part of your body, because it's really easy to kind of see that.
Yeah.
So the perceiver, I say, is the eyes of the body.
Yeah, the observer.
Right. We have deep insight, foresight, we recognize truth and discerning motives with clarity.
It's just, I think being the observer is just information. And then being discerning.
Yeah. We act as like a watchful guardian.
Yeah.
And I do like that. I do love, like, if you ask my children, they're like, my mom is always watching.
Yeah.
Part of being that guardian is we do alert to danger, right? And wrongdoing. And that, again, can be great. We can see things coming. And I'll have my friends say, Wendolyn, don't prophesy that over me. Like, I'll say, well, you're doing this and it's going to lead to this. And like, don't prophesy that over me, because I've used that, right? Prophesying over your children. And we'll get into that in another episode, but it's not telling their future. Let's make that clear. But it's basically encouraging a way to go or a way to see things, right? So if I see, and this is why I said with your children, if you see them being the perceiver, if you see them being the merciful, if you see them being the giver, calling them forth, prophesying that over their lives, right? You are the merciful. So these are the wonderful things. And these are the things that you need to make sure that you're doing in order to stay healthy as the merciful. It's calling them forth. It's prophesying over them. And so that's what I use it. I use that terminology for that.
Yes. Here's what I've learned about the perceiver, which I didn't know, as a therapist and also for you as a coach. When you say call people forth, we do see aspects in people that they don't see themselves. And it's really exciting to be able to say, this is what I'm seeing in you, and like, it's a wonderful pattern, this quality that you have. Do you realize that you have that?
Exactly.
It brings it to the light, and people are like, I didn't know that I was like that, or I thought that maybe I was, or they've maybe have seen this characteristic as a negative. And we can just kind of help turn it around. I do believe that our clients learn how to really appreciate themselves more because of this part of us where we can't help it. We do want to bring out the good. I mean, I don't even think it's in our minds where that's a goal for us. It just does come naturally, where being an observer, we can't help, and people watching, let's just be real. It's especially at the Renaissance Fair. It's it's a joy to us. It's a great joy. I
mean, we love to observe on so many levels. I mean, we go to the Renaissance Festival every year just to observe. We just observe. I'm like, listen, I'm not dressed up as a wench, but I'm here to watch them all. I'm not a jester, but I'm watching y'all. Like, I'm just looking at everybody and everything in their roles. Why did they dress in that way? Why did they, choose this or whatever? And Meredith and I will sit there, please, let me tell you something. We have solved the world's problems. And if you want to know the world's problems, I'm going to tell you where to be.
We're like, why don't people just ask us?
Where you need to be is sitting in the recliner next to us, because we're both in two recliners. My husband is on the one on the couch. We are watching reality shows, 90 Day Fiance. We are watching
Love is Blind.
And guess what? We've worked out all of their problems. They just can't hear us. We're like, listen, if you would just do this would solve everything.
And there is a lens with us of the humor of like, you can hear us laughing at ourselves. Like, we don't really know, but we kind of do.
And then you get my husband's comments coming in. We're like, not only have we solved the problems, but then you have my husband's perspective that just shifts everything and is amazing.
He brings in his teacher.
Oh yeah, he's a teacher. He's the gift of the teacher. And we just sit there. We leave when we turn that TV off, we feel pretty good about solving the world's problems.
It's just fun.
It is fun. And that's the thing, knowing your gift, having fun with it, not taking yourself too seriously. Oh, because the perceiver can take themselves seriously. Calm down. They need to calm down. Like, just know your gift and be delighted in it. Enjoy the people around you. See the screw ups and say, you know what?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to meet you there.
It's life.
Yeah. So there are things with the perceiver. So we are guardians. We can feel very strongly about injustice. Very strongly. Oh my gosh. I was 10 years old pushing record while I went to school, making sure the VCR was recording Murray, Days of Our Lives, Ricky Lake, Joan Rivers. I was like, I need to hear all of these things. And I would get so angry. Jerry Springer.
Oh my gosh, you watched Springer
horrible.
as
It's
well?
horrible. Why? There was no supervision. I was watching all of these horrible things, but I would get myself so worked up. I'd be by myself. I remember I would come home, I'd make a chicken patty sandwich, and I would sit there and I would watch Jerry Springer. And let me tell you something. I'd be like, if I felt like there was an injustice, which every time there was an injustice, that's what sells. I would get so angry. I would feel my blood pressure going up at 10, 11 years old. I would watch Days of Our Lives and go, they're not explaining it correctly. I know the truth. The truth needs to be spoken. I would get so angry. Then, of course, I didn't know then that I had the gift of the perceiver.
Did you also know, though, that they were completely made up?
Well, you know. At 10 and 11, I did think Alf was a real thing. So, and I didn't think he was real at first, but then I saw him on a game show. You remember the game show with the pyramid?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So he made an appearance on that. And I remember crying and thanking God that Alf was real.
That's where your love for animals began.
That's where my love for critters began. But Alf is real. The world is complete. So, yeah, I would watch these. But let me tell you something. I would get so angry with injustice.
Yeah.
So angry that somebody wasn't having to pay. When I drive down the road and there's a reckless driver, I get so angry at cops that they're not around. I'm like, they need to be arrested. Like, I'm like...
You have a little more intensity with this, I 100%, think, than I do.
Yeah.
But I think that comes to the personality part of it, where I am definitely more, I think, laid back in that. In that personality part.
Well, see, and this is what I have to do. Now, if it's a reckless driver and they're just being stupid, I still get angry. And I want justice. If it's somebody that I know just made like a really stupid mistake, I do it all the time. And I hope people are gracious with me. And so I've had to discipline myself to do that and say, Wendolyn, offer grace, because you have made stupider decisions.
If you haven't done it, you're going to do it.
You're going to do it?
Yeah.
It'll probably be in about 10 minutes. You're going to do something that somebody
and probably... there it is.
Oh, yeah. And I say to myself, my kids are like, oh, someone beeped at you. I'm like, yeah, that was my fault.
I do believe that we know when something is our fault, though.
Yeah. But I also think that comes with seeking humility and saying, okay, I want to be purposeful about exercising grace and offering it to people and offering it to myself, because I wasn't like that for a very long time. I was very hard on my sister when I was younger, very hard on her. Everything she did, I brought to light. Everything, I don't even know if I've apologized for this. I might have to go apologize to her for this. Sorry, Belinda.
You might need to.
But I remember being very judgmental, very hard on her. I was also very jealous of her, so that didn't help. So your adolescence, you're just not confident. And I was hard on people.
Again, I don't know if this is, being really hard on people. You know who I was even harder on is the adults around me who were supposed to be examples.
Oh, wow.
And I needed to respect them and trust them. So it came across as insubordination. I didn't.
Wow. At a young age, you were thinking along this.
Yeah. I can't even tell you from what age. I do believe it's been since the beginning. People would use the word stubborn with me because I would dig my heels in about certain things. And I realize now that could be very different levels, the ADD and the neurodivergence. No, I'm not going to wear those tights, Mom. If you put them on me, I'm going to, those parts. But separate from that, it was if I was in a situation with an adult, not necessarily like I felt uncomfortable. It was just that you are a leader and I want to be able to trust you. And if I had this off feeling, or I saw how they treated others and they wanted me to act a way that they did not act. And yes, I saw that very early on. So as I grew up, though, this is well into 20s and 30s, professors, teachers, a lot of times where it would come across probably as I was disrespectful because I would say the things that I wanted to say.
Yeah.
And it was an injustice to me, like what we're talking about. So yeah, I've now with authority, because I know this about myself, and I've learned to find things all the time that I can appreciate about someone, that I can take this away. They don't have to be everything.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how the piece that I've made with it. Sometimes you just have to be with certain people and they are the leader.
Right.
And I don't necessarily want to be the leader. That is what I think people saw in me a lot. And like, oh, Meredith, you have to be in charge. No.
Yeah.
I don't actually want to be in charge. However, when you are the perceiver, being in that point of leadership can be a great reward in the way of, like we said, bringing all these pieces out in people to create the greater good. I loved having my therapy practice, because just the difference of the women who worked in this practice, it was amazing. When you think of the gifts, I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but I can see in all of them different gifts, how we met the needs of our clients and each other. So it was just so interpersonal in a beautiful way. I didn't realize I was using my gift then, bringing those parts out of each other and to create a greater community. I think sometimes we just have to know this about ourselves, that I struggle with authority. I don't necessarily want to be in charge, but sometimes you have to be. If I'm not really great at managing, I'm going to find the leader. I'm going to find somebody like that to come alongside of me and do that work. So yeah, as you're talking about this, I just thought, wow, that was the injustice for me, is authority sometimes, and how they misused it or how they presented themselves was just not really who they are.
Injustice is very hard for us.
Yeah.
Very hard for us. Yeah. I mean, that's why for a long time I wanted to be a police officer. I don't know if you knew that about me.
I did not.
Yes, I did. And I remember one time making videos of myself doing a roll on the ground. Like I had people have to like, I actually think I've shown people this video, but I made a VHS. I'll try. I made a VHS video of me pretending I was holding a gun and having to like kind of jump into a roll and then stand up and pretending I was shooting someone. Oh yeah. Y'all, I was like 12. This is maybe 14. But now as an adult, I'm thinking about it. And I told my husband, I said, I could never have been a police officer for many reasons. One of them is that if there was a really horrible person you see on these movies, right, where they're on a rooftop and some serial killer's threatening to throw themselves off the roof and kill themselves if they're going to get caught, and the cop is trying to tell them, no, we can work this out. We can help you. I'd be like, go ahead and jump off. Do us all a favor.
Oh my God.
I was just thinking about the justice part of it. I was like, yeah, done. Do us a favor. Go ahead and jump off. Horrible. It might be horrible. But what I'm saying is, in my brain, I was like, there was an injustice done.
Isn't it just a wonderful example right now as we're talking about this of how we need to have humor with how we're
have to
with our way
listen,
we're made.
If you are listening to this story and go, Wendolyn, that's horrible. Don't act like you haven't thought of horrible things. I'm just putting it out there for everyone to hear. But yeah, so I mean,
and you could
injustice
not
is a
celebrate
huge thing.
more with how people are made and who they are.
Oh yeah.
Too. And I think it's because we are this way. We're like, yeah, I know.
Yeah. And I think we've also been like humbled a lot. Thank goodness. I thank God that he's humbled me so many times where he's like, see, Wendolyn? I'm like, wow. You're right.
Yeah. So
You're right.
humbled. So humbled.
It's been really good. So, okay. Some more things about the perceiver. They have potential to bring about positive change and restoration when their gift is with grace and humility. So, and that's what we were talking about with our clients. We can call them forth. And when it's done the right way, the perceiver can really be impactful. They really can. I've grown a lot in my gifting. So before I would be, and this is a big thing with the perceiver, if we see something that's wrong in your life, we call it out. You should just change. Like, just fix it. I'll even tell you how. Like, just fix this, right? And when it's not fixed, we get irritated. Well, I know that I used to get irritated. Like, I pointed this out. This is why your life is so miserable. I said it to you. Just change. Just change. Just do it. And we're not waiting for them to be ready to change. We're saying, I've told you the truth, so now just change it. And the perceiver has to be really careful with that, because you can really damage a lot of people with that. And I've realized that throughout the years of maturing in my gift. I've been studying these gifts for years.
Yeah.
I've been watching people for years. I've been trying to really grow in my gifting. When before I'd say, I told you what was wrong, now change it. Now I say, okay, when is the right time for them to hear this? It's not when it comes to me. Right? Just because I feel it or I understand it or I see it doesn't mean that it's time for them to hear it. And so I wait. And I may hold on to that truth that they do need to hear for a long time.
And it's really when they set it up and they want to hear it.
When they set it up, when they want to hear it, when they're ready. And then even when given to them, it doesn't mean they're going to change.
No.
It means that now you've given them something that you have seen and felt for a long time that could really benefit their lives. Now it's up to them, and you have to leave it there. And so as the perceiver, that was really hard for a long time.
Sure.
I'm like, I gave you the truth. I gave you what to do. Why aren't you doing it? You have to let it go. It's not your life. It's not for you to change.
No.
And if you were the one that's supposed to give it to them, you may never give it to them. I've gotten to the point where I've understood things about somebody and know something about their lives that would really be transformative. And it hasn't been mine to give to them. And I have to be willing to just shut my mouth.
Yeah.
And just love them and meet them where they are.
And that's the beautiful message of a perceiver who uses discernment. The first sign that I bought for my office was come as you are.
Yeah.
That's what we want. We do want the authenticity. Absolutely. My approach, and we've talked about this as a therapist, is a little different. I might see these things, I might call them forth, I share the observations, but in no way do I want to be an authority on your life.
No.
That is not my job.
Right.
You are the authority on your life in those moments. You know yourself best, and sometimes you just don't know that yet. Growing in self-awareness, understanding what we need and boundaries, how to protect ourselves, learning your intuition, trusting your gut. Those are not things that we can do for you. But we can hold that space for you and guide you to that. That we can be very good in being in the uncomfortable, I think. We may not like injustice. We may see things in black and white. However, maybe this is just for me. I can be very good with being in the gray and the uncomfortable and in the silence. I think that's a little harder for you.
No, it is. It is harder for the perceiver, but I think you also have the gift of teaching, and that's very high. That's like almost right there with your perceiver.
That's true.
And they are very curious people. And so you are a very curious person. And so I think that's where that overlaps for you.
That's why being a Montessori teacher made sense.
Yeah.
I mean, we are observers. That's what it is. It's like a behavioral scientist, and then figuring out like how to get them to love learning about anything in life, but about themselves too, and knowing again how they're made, bringing that out in them, and then being able to teach them and guide them. I think I've always wondered about that as far as like perceiver and teacher. They do go hand in hand for me.
They do. Yeah. So you're going to have aspects of both of those.
That makes sense.
So some of the things that we will wrap up with, some challenges for the perceiver. We can be very blunt. We've talked about delivery in other episodes, and you should probably listen to those.
Timing,
your audience, all of that. We talked about being judgmental and critical, and sometimes impersonal, right? You said Meredith's gone dark, right? Meredith's gone dark. We struggle with moral perfectionism. So there's some things with the perceiver that we're not going to touch on everything today, but what I will encourage you to do is listen to the 7 that we're going to do, the 7 episodes on this. The 7th episode we are going to link a test that you can take to see which gift is yours. And it will talk about all of the wonderful things and the challenges to each gift.
all of the things that we've mentioned, if we come from this light of talking more about the growth points, I think we have really talked. Some people can say it's negative, but I don't want to look at it that way. I want you guys to look at it as these growth points. And all of this is on a spectrum of, we could be very susceptible to this, but because we are so concerned about justice and possibly judgmental, how do we use that in a way, again, to move people forward? How do we use that in a way sometimes to let ourselves just chill? Being aware is the first step. When you challenge us with this today, Wendolyn, about, am I the perceiver? Do I know a perceiver? Here are the things to look for. These are the simply 1% shifts that we continue to talk about. The awareness of it. Do I need to be more patient with somebody around me that is not made like I am, right? Is not the perceiver. Wendell and I can have very candid conversations with each other. Our feelings aren't hurt. When you're talking to the merciful, or maybe even a server or a giver, you might need to know who that person is and how they're made, because your delivery is going to be very different. Your timing is going to be different. So as we think about the simple 1% for our lives today, it might just be like, let me look at myself through this lens. Could this really be me? Maybe this is the way that my best friend is. And this is what I really appreciate. Sometimes they get so frustrated and they actually do really want the best for me. Maybe this is my partner's motivational gift. And so when they tell me something that they're really concerned about, it's not necessarily because they're judging me, they're judging the situation, and they really want it to come out of care and protection. So I think the lens is really important. Awareness and the lens is always really important. And that could be our 1% this week. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
So next week, we're going to talk about the merciful.
The merciful. Yes. We'll be making it through the 7.
We would love to see you on our Facebook group, Simply 1%. We would love to hear what you're working through, sharing your 1%.
Also, we will be releasing our YouTube channel soon and our Instagram. Look at us, how fancy schmance. And our, what's the other one? Apple
TikTok.
Podcasts and Tiki-Talkie, all of these things.
1% shifts, Wendolyn. We're not doing all at one time.
Listen,
I just had some heart palpitations there.
But, just keep that in mind.
Okay, guys, we're really wrapping up now. We're all in this together, guys. We cannot wait to be with you next week. Have a good week.